Hey guys, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be doing our first movie review, covering Behind the Curve, a documentary about flat earthers. Before we get started though, I would like to give a brief overview of the video itself because I do think that some people believe that this documentary is about the flat earth. However, after watching the film in its entirety, I think this video is a documentary more about flat earthers than just the flat earth. You can find this documentary in many locations, most notably on Netflix. I highly recommend watching the documentary in its entirety, and all links to the film will be in the description. So let's begin. So the film opens up with Mark Sargent walking aimlessly down an empty beach with his infamously unwashed I Am Mark Sargent shirt on. He starts listing off some of their typical appeals to incredulity, but it is brief. They then go on to introduce Mark Sargent's mom, and they will be talking with her throughout the film about her relationship with her son, and how she feels about his conspiracy ideas, especially those regarding the flat earth. I think there's a stigma in the flat earth community regarding the status of the family relationships of flat earthers. I find that negative relationships are more prevalent in their community, however not every flat earther is afflicted by this negative relationship because of their beliefs. And this documentary does a good job showing that side of flat earthers. Another point I would like to bring up about this film is that it is primarily told from the first person perspective of different flat earthers. I think this gives them an honest opportunity to tell their side of the story. Mark Sargent goes on to talk about his journey to the flat earth, going into the day and time that he had his Jerry Maguire moment and woke up to the flat earth. Mark Sargent begins to cover his Flat Earth Clues videos and talks about how he couldn't find any planes in the southern hemisphere. But then the documentary immediately shows a video of a non-flat earther finding several planes in the southern hemisphere on a plane finder app. Over the next several minutes, they bring on different viewpoints from the other side of the argument to talk about flat earth and flat earthers. The people that the documentary crew decided to interview gave very informative opinions about the flat earth phenomenon making its way through our modern culture. Nathan Thompson then comes on and does his normal bouncing ball routine, saying a lot of stupid things like dinosaurs never existed, the entertainment industry is being invaded by transgenders, and finishing his little segment off by reading a book while driving at high speeds. Not smart, Nathan. Mark Sargent then comes back to talk about his influence on Flat Earth and his rise to being the Flat Earth King. He makes the really stupid comment that a NASA Lies license plate could be interpreted as nasal eyes. Moving from there, we are then introduced to Patricia Steer, another prominent name in the Flat Earth YouTube community. A continuing undertone of the film is the relationship between Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer. I feel it does a wonderful job of humanizing the experience between two people who share a quirky belief. Unfortunately for Mark Sargent, anyone who watches the film can see that he wants more than just a friendly relationship, and she wants him right where he already is, in the friend zone. The documentary actually had me personalizing with both of them, and by the end of the film, I was almost pulling for the incel to get the lady. Hopefully that works out for both of them. Bob Knodell is the next flat earther to be introduced. Bob Knodell from Globebusters has probably caused a huge rift in the flat earth community when the documentary showed him admitting that several experiments he conducted with a ring laser gyro are not good for flat earth, as the experiments were fairly definitive evidence supporting the 15-degree rotation of the Earth's surface. As most of you know by now, he just writes off this evidence by asserting that the 15-degree drift was caused by the rotating heavens. The documentary also briefly covers Math Powerland, who is in a personal feud with Mark Sargent and claims he is the true father of the flat earth. The filmmakers then follow Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer on their visit to the NASA Space Center in Houston, Texas. One of the funniest parts in the entire documentary is when Mark Sargent jumps in an Orion simulator and starts poking at the screen to get the simulator to start like some stupefied caveman, completely ignoring the huge start button sitting next to his legs. They then make their way to a full-scale rocket display where Patricia Steer does something really stupid.
The Earth is flat!
Now, I don't take personal offense to this, but I do wonder, how would flat earthers feel if I went into their safe space conferences and meetups and yelled out the earth is not flat? I find that flat earthers don't like to abide by the same tactics and rules they expect others to follow. And to finish the documentary off, they covered Jeranism and his double glory hole experiment where he shines a laser through 2 holes and measures the height on both sides. Unfortunately for Jeranism and the flat earth community as a whole, this experiment is evidence that the earth is not flat, but curving beneath them. Well, that's the end of the documentary in a nutshell. So now let's give it an honest review. What did I like? Well, the flow of the film was very smooth and easy to follow. The entire presentation from the film crew was about as non-biased as possible, and the participants for the opposing side were well informed and offered a fair opinion of flat earthers. The soundtrack and the individuals interviewed from both sides were a perfect match with each other, as I was intrigued and invested in the storyline from start to finish. While I don't personally believe in the flat earth, I felt this documentary allowed me to humanize with the flat earth experience as a whole. For me, it offers some great insight into the mindset of the more prominent members of the flat earth community. Now, what I didn't like. I didn't like the fact that all of the flat earthers presented were North American. I think some of the more prominent characters in the flat earth community come from Europe and Australia, and their story would have offered some additional insight. This is not really that big of a deal, but I would have liked to just have seen some of the Europeans included in this discussion, as they are the ones who are more prominent in the debate side of this community. Maybe this gives the filmmakers enough wiggle room to do a part 2 covering the flat earth debaters. I also would have preferred to see some of these opposing experts actually interact with the flat earthers. They all offered great insight and information, but the desire to see the 2 opposing sides interact was left unfulfilled. All in all, I give this documentary an 8.2 out of 10 dings, and is a must watch if you are involved on either side of the flat earth discussion, either actively like myself or passively in the comments of flat earth videos. The documentary is not hard to find, especially with its availability on Netflix, and I recommend if you haven't seen it yet, then go watch it after this. You won't be disappointed. And now for the final segment of our movie review, bonus review. Because this wouldn't be a Team Skeptic video without a few dings here and there. So now we are going to list off and count the number of times a flat earth idiot said something stupid in the documentary. Mark Sargent claims we are living in a terrarium or Hollywood stage. Mark Sargent asserts the ice wall is similar to the ice wall in Game of Thrones and that the sun and moon are just lights in the sky. Compares flat earth to the Truman Show, but fails to take into consideration the number of people it would require to build, maintain, and populate with actors a stage that has at least a 25,000 mile radius. Claims only the tops of buildings in Seattle should be visible while staring at only the tops of buildings in Seattle. Says flat earth is winning because science only has math and models to predict reality when flat earthers have neither. Says flat earthers are just debunkers who couldn't debunk flat earth. Says that he watched a plane tracker for days and didn't see a southern hemisphere flight, only to have someone look on a plane tracker app and find several planes with southern hemisphere flight paths within minutes. Says that a TSA officer didn't bother checking his bags because he recognized him at an airport. Let's hope ISIS doesn't start wearing I Am Mark Sargent shirts. Nathan Thompson says that biblical cosmology is geocentric and the government lies to keep us stupid. Claims the school system made up dinosaurs to hide the true age of the earth. Knows that NASA doesn't mean to deceive in Hebrew, but sticks to that claim anyways. Harasses NASA employee during coffee break. Reads a book while driving at high speed. Nathan Thompson dings himself.
I think they're total idiots.
Mark Sargent says NASA lies license plate could have been from an ears, nose, and throat doctor, and the license plate could mean nasal eyes, except eyes isn't spelled I-E-S. Admits that there are no scientists in the flat earth movement. Matt Boylan, aka Matt Powerland, claims Edward Snowden came out because of him. Matt Boylan claims Mark Sargent is planted by the CIA and is really a representative of Warner Brothers. Says NASA hides the shape of the Earth because there's 450 years of science that they don't want to throw away or improve upon, neglecting the fact that science makes new discoveries that replace antiquated understandings all the time. Patricia Steer claims that the flat earth is at the center of all conspiracies. I didn't know Lee Harvey Oswald was a flat earther. She then claims that government uses vaccines, GMOs, and chemtrails to perpetuate the globe lie. No surprise here, Patricia Steer is a 9/11 conspiratard. Nathan Thompson claims that it is not just the flat earth the infamous they are hiding, but human sacrifices and blood rituals as well. Patricia Steer says she won't believe future events like the Boston bombings unless she gets one of her own legs blown off. Mark Sargent says Jupiter doesn't look like a sphere, and then says that what we see in the sky is merely a display system. An incel by the name of Star Gods comes on and accuses Patricia Steer of being a government plant designed to lure men into the flat earth. Patricia Steer says that people claim she's in the CIA because the last 3 letters of her name are CIA. And how stupid would the government have to be to do something so obvious like that? I don't know, Patricia. I guess about as stupid as the UN using the map of the true flat earth as their logo while trying to continue the globe earth lie, right? Bob Knodell admits that his ring laser gyro experiment read a 15-degree drift, as predicted by the globe earth model, then dismisses it as imaginary heaven juice. Conducts an experiment that he believes will block out the heavens and still measures 15-degree drift. Admits the flat earth has been falsified, but says there's enough evidence for him to keep believing it. Mark Sargent keeps pressing a screen he believes is a touchscreen without paying attention to the obvious start button right in front of him.
The Earth is flat!
Fucking idiots. Bob Knodell admits that if they release their findings at this point, then it would be bad for the flat earth, followed by making sure that the guy he's talking to knows that the conversation is not for public knowledge. Mark Sargent claims that the writer from the Philly Voice is a secret flat earther. Guy from the Philly Voice denies the claim. Mark Sargent again asserts that the sky is nothing more than a large display system. Says the solar eclipse appeared to be nothing more than just a phasing out of the sun. Bob Knodell implies that ODD didn't attend because he thinks Mark Sargent and Patricia Steer are CIA disinformation agents. Robbie Anderson organizes a bunch of flat earth idiots. Mark Sargent claims he is not the father of flat earth, but then implies that he was the one who made everyone start researching flat earth. 6 in one, half dozen in the other, Mark. Mark Sargent claims that we are not far off from teaching flat earth next to globe earth in schools. Mark Sargent fields a question from a child about the height of the dome and deflects the question only to commend the parents for allowing their child's education to be retarded by flat earthers. Tells a story of how a third of a class in a particular school began arguing with the teacher when she said the earth was spinning and orbiting the sun. Everybody claps. Mark Sargent admits that even if he has absolute proof that the earth was not flat, he could never leave the flat earth community. Mark Sargent wears neon glasses and a matching neon tie. Gets 2 dings for that faux pas. Jeranism proves the globe in a very interesting experiment. And to finish the whole documentary off, the now famous lines of Flat Earth's #1 idiot, Jeranism.
Interesting.
Alright, so thanks guys for sticking around to the very end. I hope you enjoyed the movie review, and if you would like to see more content like this in the future, then just leave a comment below. Don't forget to smash the like button, click subscribe, and the little dinger to stay informed of all future Team Skeptic content. Now I'd like to say a personal thank you to my first and only Patreon. And thank you to all of you who have supported the channel with previous super chats and donations. Your contributions are not just helpful, but much appreciated. I'm Father Skeptic, and I'm out.